Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I have to do this video because there's no new release that's come out that I can watch, so, I'm kind of stuck with doing this video today, as usual. I guess January should just be the garbage month where, there's not really much of anything to do. It's kind of amazing that 1 week that racing movie came out and that I was able to magically watch that. So anyway, I am here to rank the Fargo Season 5 characters. And in general, I would say that they came up with a really good cast of characters. And the majority of them they misused and they underutilized, and they really didn't take advantage of these great actors. And that's what I would say, entirely, actually. That's the main point of these characters, is that they really didn't take advantage. They wasted these characters. They wasted this season. It's kind of like a wasted potential season. Seasons 1, 2, and 3 are mostly pretty good. Season 4 is the terrible season. And then Season 5 is the wasted potential season. So I have 6 tiers. Originally there were 6, and then one of them, it was really weird. This person who made this tier list, he or she, I think it's he. It has a guy on the profile picture. He created this tier list and put a tier at the very bottom that says Roy Tillman. And I thought, way to, try to influence the people ranking, trying to, say, oh, look, obviously this is the tier where you put Roy. And it's no, that's not very obvious at all, because here's the thing. When you rank characters, you can't just put a character at the very bottom because you don't like them. It has to be because you don't like them and also they're a bad character. Because when you're ranking characters, you might have someone who you don't like near the very top. You might have someone who's a real, evil person, evil villain, like American Horror Story Roanoke. I had the main villain of the season at the very top of the list. A brutal, evil character. She was at the very top of the list. And that's because she was a good character. Not because, oh, she's a villain and I like the fact that she's evil. So I would like to make that clear, because I think that that's really stupid of people to just put people who you don't like at the very bottom, unless they're also bad characters, because that is what is important here. Are they bad characters or are they good characters? And tomorrow, if there's no new release, I will be doing Fargo Fuck, Marry, Kill, the tournament, the only video of the tournament. And so, there you go. I hope I don't have to, though, because it's going to be so much to edit. Ugh. So first off, we have the fuck you tier. At the very bottom of the list is Indira's husband. Now, I don't necessarily think that it's the actor's fault here. I mean, I've never seen the actor before, but I just think that this character was a huge waste of space. He was a waste of screen time. His character never actually contributed anything to the season, except some agenda scenes where he basically told his wife to get back in the kitchen, and then his wife just stood there scowling like she did the whole season. And his character was it was terrible, very unlikable. It was such an unrealistic character too. There was no chemistry between him and her, so you just wondered, why did they get married in the first place if they don't love each other and, they don't even like each other at all? There's no hint of any sort of realism with this character. It's just oh, he's the typical shitty husband, and she's the struggling girl boss who, she can't succeed because he's weighing her down. And, so the whole arc with that is like she's got to get rid of her man so she can be a strong, independent woman. But his character, he sucked. And it's really sad because they really wasted that. I mean, I don't understand why they did that. It was just for the writers to have their little agendas put in the show. And that monologue, too, with the get back in the kitchen monologue, like, that was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was basically like a reminiscent of an American Horror Story cult when, Kai Anderson in the finale was telling the main woman character, I can't remember her name, he was telling her, like, go make me a sandwich. That's basically what it was. Like, it was so bad. It was so badly written. Like, the writers, I wish that I could have, like, the writers represented on this list, because I would put them below the fuck you tier, because they don't even deserve to be in the fuck you tier, because they suck so bad. Next up is Linda. Now, this character was really bizarre. Like, I don't know if it was a purposeful choice by the actress to just do as shitty of a job as possible so that she would basically come off like a human puppet or a human ventriloquist dummy. But, like, her character is probably, like, one of the worst television characters I've ever seen. She's supposed to be the sympathetic domestic abuse victim, and she's so unlikable. She's so bad at acting, and her character's bad, too. And really, it's also the fault of that episode, though, because we could have gotten a full episode where you see these human people interacting with each other in the past, and it could have been really, really good. I guarantee they could have gotten some Emmys for acting for that episode if they had done that. But instead, Linda is in this weird cult. It is like a cult. Everyone has the same name. It's really creepy, and they all have to do puppet shows. And so Dorothy does this puppet show, and we see that this woman, Linda, is really, really evil, because she basically brings in Dorothy as a teenager as a victim so that she can escape herself. She basically brings her in so that Roy can get distracted with her and start raping and beating her up, and so that then Linda can escape. And I just think, like, ew. Like, what a horrible, evil woman. Like, so, like, she's definitely the second worst character of the season. And then, speaking of trash characters, at the top of the fuck you list is Lorraine Lyon. This character could have been really, really good. She wasn't really utilized properly. Most of the season, she basically just got to be a girl boss, and like they kept on repeating the same scene over and over. She sits in a room with a guy at the other side of the desk, and they say a bunch of sexist things or a bunch of stupid things, and then she does this terrible accent, and she's like, no, actually, I'm Lorraine for Fargo. I'm doing my pretentious theater voice, and actually, you are going to get fucked up the ass because I'm going to fuck you and wreck your life, and I'm going to do all this stuff because I'm a girl boss. I'm a strong, independent girl boss, and I'm just going to fuck your life up. I'm going to fucking step on your testicles, and then I'm going to take off your testicles, and I'm going to cook them on a pan like eggs. Like, I'm going to fry them with some bacon and we're going to have a little breakfast meal together after I fuck you and fuck your life up. That's all she does this entire season. And it's so strange because, as I said in the reviews, she's way more evil than Roy. Because what she does affects thousands of people. You saw that all these prisoners in this prison, she canceled their debt. And so that means that she has the power, essentially, to cancel every human's debt on the face of the earth. And she doesn't do that. Instead, she she wants to do this kind of predatory program where people pay her off, and at the same time, she's the one who's making these people in debt. So what she does affects thousands of people. What Roy does maybe affects like 100 people or less. Maybe if even that. Because Roy is just so obsessed with, Dorothy, and then, his weird wife, and then his daughters. Well, he doesn't really care about his daughters, I guess. So I would say that like I really don't understand like why it's so weird that in the whole history of Fargo, all the evil characters get some kind of comeuppance. But then you have this female character who is extremely evil, cold-hearted, like, oh, what, just because she suddenly realizes that her daughter-in-law is pretty good, and she does a couple of good things for her, that just means that it's okay that she's this evil? Like, no, sorry, that's not how it works. Like, I'm sure that Jeffrey Epstein did some nice things too. Does that make him not an evil person? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. Like, oh, remember that one time where Ted Bundy cooked breakfast for his family? Oh, that makes him a great person. Yeah. That's basically what the writers think about Lorraine, is that like, oh, wow, she does these couple little things that are good. So that means that she's so good now, and she doesn't deserve to get any comeuppance, even though this whole series is entirely built on characters getting their comeuppance for doing evil, illegal things. So, yeah, trash character, really, really weird accent, too. I do like Jennifer Jason Leigh a lot, and so the fact that they really wasted that character, but they also made her trash, really, really bad. Now we go to the weird, boring, and or dumb tier. First off, we have Roy's new wife, his third wife. Let's just call her Trouble Tits. And Trouble Tits, she's pretty, but she's also kind of evil. So there's that. Her character never really has much character at all. The only kind of cool thing is that she does this cool thing where she has like all these disguises so that she can role play with you. And like that's the only thing about her character that is identifiable. Like all the rest of her character is just, I don't know, like her character really sucked. She didn't hardly have anything to her, so I'm just going to call her Trouble Tits. Like the last thing that she does in this season is just run away from trouble. Like that's all she does at the end, and then boom, she's gone. Like she was such a useless character that in episode 9, like she gets in this confrontation with Dorothy, and Dorothy just knocks her out in 2 seconds. And then her husband comes in, and he knows that she's on the floor, but he doesn't even care. He doesn't even look at her. And it's like, yeah, that's because she's such a useless character. Like it's really too bad that she never had a character. More terrible writing, by the way, because I just think about in all these episodes in the middle of this shitty season, you could have given all these characters a character. You could have had all these characters interacting, doing things, but instead, you chose to have these boring, trash filler episodes for, like, almost the entire season. And at the top of the weird, boring, and or dumb list, we have Indira. Ugh. Oh, God, I hated this character. Ugh. I wish I could put her in the fuck you tier. Because here's the thing. Her character had potential to be a great character. Because she's a law enforcement character who's willing to bend the law. And throughout the course of the series, one of the biggest issues has been all the law enforcement characters, for the most part, are just 100% good. They're not willing to do anything, outside the law. They're not willing to help people who, like Kirsten Dunst's character, like, what did she do wrong in season 2? She did nothing wrong. And then she's taken to prison forever. And then the police officer is like, you're laughing and you're doing all this stuff and you should think about all the stuff that you've caused. Kirsten Dunst, you've done all this bad stuff. And I'm a good guy and you're a bad guy. Wah! And, then you think about season 3. And you had that girl boss character who was really unlikable. And she was like, in the final episode, she's just doing this weird look at the bad guy and like, she's like, I'm so much better than you. You're the bad guy. And, what did she say? Something about like a Snickers bar and the fair or something, like a deep fried Snickers bar or something, like really, really weird. Just these law enforcement characters suck. Like, I think that the only law enforcement characters in the entire series that I liked, genuinely, I liked the skinny guy from season 1. I did not like the girl, but she was better than all the rest of these law enforcement characters. So, him and her, and then also the U.S. Marshal from season 4, those have been the only law enforcement characters that I've liked. All the rest of them suck. All the rest of them are like shells of what they could be. That's why, like, I really think that this series was built on a bad foundation, because in the first season they had these law enforcement characters and they had nothing to them at all except for the fact that they were good and all they did was good. They can do no wrong. They can't bend the law. And Indira actually bended the law. And as soon as she does that, what does she do? She quits. She quits her job, and she goes to work as a private security for, like, the most evil character in the season. So, yeah, that's pretty bad. And also, we're going to really trash on Indira, because, like, I really think that she deserves it. Now, the actress is probably good. I'm not saying that the actress is bad. She's pretty, and I think that she could be good. She did a good job with the accent, but I couldn't stand this character, because this entire season, you look at the face that she's making on this tier list, this picture where she's making the scowl. She does that the entire season. Every single scene that she's in, she sees or hears something that she doesn't like and she scowls. And it was just so bad. It was so bad and irritating. And it just makes her so unlikable and bad. Really, really bad. And then also, you have to think, I really hate and despise, and I've said this over and over too, I really hate these movies and shows where you have a female character who's supposed to be sympathetic, but she's with this really horrible, evil guy, and Lars, this shitty guy, and instead of thinking like, oh no, I feel so sorry for her, all I could think of is like, you're the one who married him. You married him, Indira. That's your problem. Why did you marry him? You're stupid. Don't make that scowl at me. You're the one who let him marry you. Okay? So, like, fuck you. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put her right down next to her husband. That's what I'm going to do. There you go. There you go, Indira. Fuck you. Like, oh, we feel so sorry for you. No! You married him. You chose him. Like, seriously, like, I can't stand that. We saw that last year in the Friday the 13th remake. That girl who was with Trent, and she's like, nah, he's so bad. He's so mean. I don't like him. Why are you with him? Okay, let's move on. Okay, have potential. And then also Indira, for the rest of the season, she doesn't do shit. She stands around like Lorraine's bitch. Probably gives her lick downs in the afternoon because she's such a bitch for Lorraine. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't contribute anything to this season. She just stands around like a little lapdog, Lorraine's little lapdog. It's like, ew. Ew. See, I thought that they were making her head of security for Lorraine because then Roy would come to kill her at her business and or her house. I thought then there would be some shit that went down and Indira would have to actually contribute something to the season. But no, she doesn't do shit. She's just I mean, just Okay, let's go to Have Potential. You guys see how angry it gets me when there's a bad character in a show. In the Have Potential tier, we have Scotty at the bottom. Now, here's the thing. I am not ranking these characters in terms of how much I like them. I am ranking them by how much potential they had. And I would say that Scotty had the least amount of potential because she's a kid. She can't do very much. But I just kind of thought that she had potential because she was just kind of there. And it would have been nicer to see her have some sort of interaction with anybody, or like some sort of like meaningful interaction where she had to contribute something to the plot. Because I just think about, last season, how that terrible Ethelreda character, she was basically like the protagonist of the season. And she did so much in the season too. Not really, but she did something. And Scotty did not really do very much, but it was kind of tough because, I did like her character. I was thinking of putting her in the Had Good Moments tier, but I just thought she did kind of have more potential because I think that in a better season with better writing, she could have actually done something meaningful. And next up is Gator. This character was a really big waste of this actor, everyone loves this actor in Stranger Things. I've never even seen Stranger Things. I don't want to watch it anymore because that one actor's a Zionist. So, I'm not really interested in that anymore. But Gator, his character had a really good moment near the end of the season where he got abandoned by his father and he was blinded and he was just all alone in the middle of this foggy landscape. But nothing happens. He just does one little thing off camera and nothing really happens. We don't get any cool moments. And I really think that this character had potential to be a great character. He was also kind of a stereotype. People even mentioned it in like articles. They said that he's a quote-unquote young Trump supporter. That's what they said in all these like articles about the Fargo season. And it's like, yeah, he really is. He's like a stereotype. And he's just not a good character. He basically didn't do anything the entire season except for fail. I mean, all he did, and it was really weird too, because you'd think that after one failure that Roy would have been like, okay, I'm going to do it myself. But no, like he just keeps letting him fail and fail and fail. And it's just kind of stupid, and it's kind of boring and bad. And so, like, yeah, he had a lot more potential because I thought after he's blinded, maybe he's going to become kind of like Daredevil, where, maybe he's not like the badass that Daredevil is, but maybe he could have a really badass moment where he gets to save someone. Like, maybe he saves, what was that guy's name? Newton? Or Whit? Why do I keep thinking he's Newton? Where he saves Whit, or something like that, but no. He just gets to, and also he's an abuse victim, and for some reason he goes to prison at the end of the season. I didn't understand that. And then also, apparently, he didn't tell the authorities about Ol Munch, because the authorities never even go look for Ol Munch at the end of the season. So I guess that even though he gave his father up and confessed to all this stuff, I guess he still didn't tell them about Munch and about how he's still alive, and they covered that whole thing up, like, so that was really stupid. And yeah. Next up is Newton, or Whit. I guess his name is Wit. Let's just call him Newton, because like for some reason it just he's a Newton. he's he's a Fig Newton. Okay, so Officer Fig Newton, he had a really good character in the first 2 episodes where, Dorothy saves him, and you think, oh, this is going to be cool because he doesn't know who she is, and he really wants to thank her and help her, and so he's going to be like a really heroic character. But instead, he literally does nothing, and then he disappears from the season. And then at the end of the season, he comes back, and you think, oh, yay, he's going to be really, really good in the finale. And instead, he doesn't do shit, except for he does the stupid, probably, arguably, the second stupidest thing of the entire season. He goes into the dugout alone to confront Roy, and he confronts him, and he sees that Roy has a knife, and instead of taking him out so that he can't come at him with the knife, he does the typical cliche thing where he stands there and lets him attack him, and then he's gone. And it's like, well, that was a really wasted character, Fig Newton. So now we're done with Newton. Let's move on to Roy. Now, I especially think that this guy was wasted and had potential, because this was Jon Hamm, and he's a really, really, really good actor, kind of underrated, because, I mean, he is very much like a leading man character, and yet you don't really see him at all in movies or TV. Like, you hardly see him anywhere. You see him once in a while, it's like, hey, look, it's Jon Hamm. And it's like, it's really strange, because he is a leading man, for sure. He should be leading, movies, leading shows. Not all the time, obviously, because we don't want to have the Chris Pratt syndrome happen to him. But, he should be leading things, because that's who he is. He's that type of an actor, he's not a side character. He's not a villain. He's a leading character. And in this season, he is the main villain. And he is basically a cartoon. He's a superficial cartoon stereotype character for people who the writers don't like in real life. So he kind of has comparisons to Trump and all the stuff with that. He pretends that he's a libertarian, but he's not really a libertarian at all. And I guess that all he really cares about is controlling women or something. Like, he really doesn't have a character at all. And it's too bad, too, because he's very good at acting, and they really wasted his talents here. He did have quite a few good moments, though. He had the moment where he had the one-on-one fight with Dorothy, and I thought that was one of the better moments of the whole season, because it was cool that, like, they weren't afraid to have the female character fight with the main male character. Usually in these stupid modern shows and movies, you can only have 2 female characters fighting. For some reason, you can't have the female character fight the main bad guy, because it's sexist or something. And so I really did love that fight between them, because it was a very brutal fight. It was a very, like, real type of fight. And but he was really, really wasted. I mean, he had an army with him. He had a tank. He had, like, home field advantage. He had fog. And somehow, in the first 5 minutes of the finale, he just gets immediately taken out. And it's like, yeah, that's what you call shitty writing. That's what you call really, really shitty writing. That they had what could have been probably the best villain of the whole series, and they wasted him completely. And then, like, Safi tried to say that, like, he's not really as much of a Trump supporter as he is, like, a religious fanatic. And I didn't really get that, because, if he was a religious fanatic, then they didn't really play into that very much at all. except for near the end when he just keeps on quoting Bible verses. But, like, other than that, it really seemed more like they're trying to make him into their political stereotypes that the writers like to think about. You know, so I really think that this character was, he was done a huge disservice. Because then there was also a part where it seemed like maybe he had psychic power, and apparently he didn't, but it was really weird how they did that, and it wasn't clear if he did or didn't. And then, they crippled him with the backstory episode, because in the backstory episode, we didn't get to see him actually go through the origin story with Dorothy. You know, we saw puppets instead, because the writers were too scared to show that. They were too scared to show, oh no, we can't do this mature type of stuff on television. That's not what television is for. Even though it's rated TVMA. We can't show these characters in person. We have to show puppets because we're like children. We're like, adult children, and we can't do that. Let's show another scene of Munch staring into space. That's what the writers think. So, yeah, this villain character, he was good. He could have been great, but they wasted him like they waste everything now in Hollywood. So, they have all the money, but they don't have any of the talent. The writers and the people who make it, they have all the resources they need. They have all the great actors. They have all the money they need, but they don't have any of the talent that the people used to have in Hollywood. And that's what I would say in general about all movies and shows. And so now we go to the had good moments tier. First off, we have Wayne. This character I was going to put in the had potential tier, but then I thought, no, he really didn't have potential, because he probably would have gotten killed if he had gotten into the action in this season. But what I just liked about him was that he was a really decent person. He was really good at acting. I really liked the finale where he was being really nice to Munch, and he brings him a soda and everything. Like, that was really funny. And but he doesn't really do very much this season at all, because 4 episodes in, he electrocutes himself, and then he's just kind of out of it for episodes and episodes. So, but I still did like him. His main character arc was just learning what Dorothy where Dorothy came from. So he really didn't have very much of a character arc or any sort of a character. He was just the nice guy. He was kind of like the husband of the pregnant woman in the original Fargo movie. He was kind of like that guy. So, that guy wasn't really a great character either, because he didn't really have much of a character. But at least Wayne had some good moments. And then finally, in the good moments tier, the last character we have is Danish. This is like a badass lawyer character. He's got an eye patch. He's really, really good at his job. He's really good at destroying people and just, outmaneuvering people legally. And yet, he has probably the honor or dishonor, I don't know how you would want to put it. He does the number one stupidest thing in the entire season. And that is, he goes into Roy's ranch all by himself, because he's so full of himself that he thinks that he can go in there and say, you are going to give Dorothy back to me, or else I'm going to further destroy your career, and I'm going to destroy you. And then John Hamm is like, oh, really? And he's like, pow, pow. He just shoots him straight up, like, and the fact that Danish didn't think that would happen was just really, really ignorant and stupid. They could have done it like where Roy contacts Danish and he says, I'm going to give you Dorothy, come here at this time. and then Danish comes there thinking that he's going to be given Dorothy, and then boom, he shoots him there, but instead he goes in there all by himself, and it's so dumb that he would do that. It is kind of realistic though, because he thinks he's so good at being a lawyer that he can do anything, and that he's like a god type of person, but then he fucks around and finds out. And he did have some great moments, though, I will say. Especially when he did the whole thing with Roy at the election debate, where he had all these people, their debts were canceled, but what they had to do was come and pretend to be Roy at the election debate. And so Danish, he orchestrated that, and he watched it go down, and that was really, really funny. And it went so well that Roy started, punching people in the audience, punching reporters, beating on women, when, he already has allegations of that against him. He does that in public. He basically destroys his own political career forever, thanks to Danish. And so, he did have some good moments. Danish did. Now in the awesome tier, Ol Munch is in the awesome tier, because he was a fantastic character. He was revealed at the very end of the season to be the supernatural element of the season, which was kind of interesting because, I thought, oh, maybe they're going to have an alien show up in the finale or something. But no, the alien has been here all along. It is Munch, and he is this hitman who was originally supposed to get Dorothy and kill her or take her to Roy. And the thing is, though, is that he was not informed that Dorothy was a tiger. And so he tries to come at her without knowing how dangerous it's actually going to be. And so he therefore fumbles it, and he gets away really, really narrowly from Dorothy, and he has to run away. And he's really pissed off at that the entire season. I mean, he's so mad that he never lets it go the entire season. It takes all the rest of the episodes for him to finally let it go. And so, but what I really liked about this character was the fact that he has this really good backstory where he's hundreds and hundreds of years old, and all throughout time, he has been like this assassin, this type of henchman character, and he's, all his life he's been, eating the sins of the rich and eating the sins of the villains in the world, and he's so sick of doing that because he just wants to, he just wants to die, I guess. He just wants to move on and get to live a normal life. And so, I really love that story, actually, and I love that character. He had so many good moments in the season, but I would also say that he had more potential because, I mean, he was like a killing machine. His best moment was when Dorothy was almost going to get killed, and Munch comes in to save the day, and he kills all these people in a matter of seconds. And then he gets Dorothy out, and he hands her the gun, and he says, go kill all these people, And that was his best moment of the season, and it was something that I wanted to happen too. I told you guys, it would be really cool to see him and her together. And then in the finale, of course, you had that incredible final 25 minutes where he comes to her house to kill her, and it's just her and him talking for an entire 25 minutes, and their interaction was so good, and it was exactly as good as I knew it would be. So yeah, he was an awesome character. And finally we have Dorothy, and she is in her own tier all by herself, and it is the wifey material tier, because I think that she is probably one of the best characters in Fargo history, because Usually in all these seasons, like let's say season 2, you have Kirsten Dunst's character. She did nothing wrong. She was not law enforcement, though, and that made it to where at the end she has to go to prison for no reason, basically. And Dorothy, her character, she's the same type of character in a way that, she does do a lot of illegal things. She lies to the authorities. She covers things up. She's killing people too. I think she kills the henchmen and everything, and multiple henchmen. Maybe I can't remember. I'm just she did kill Roderick in episode 1, right? And so she does a lot of things that she probably should be punished for, and yet she doesn't get punished. And she's the hero. She's very, very likable. She's a very good person, and she's got the biggest issue though. Before we keep praising her, because she is in the wifey material tier, her biggest issue is her backstory. Her backstory makes no sense, because there's no point in the backstory where she has this, like, intense training where she's able to do all this stuff that she does in the season. So it really doesn't make sense why her character is like this badass that she is. But she is a badass, and it's really, really cool that she is. I really love female characters like this who are badass without having to say that they're badass. And, she's very nice, too. She smiles a lot. And, nowadays, too, whenever you have a strong female character, she has to look like Indira, where the whole time she scowls, she never smiles, she never is nice to anyone. She always has to be mean and scowl at everyone and just be like, I'm mad at everyone. I'm mad. So I really like that Dorothy, that she was really nice, and all she cared about was taking care of her child. All she cared about was getting to her family, protecting them. She was so cool. She really is like a heroic character that you could be proud of, a great female character. But just the only issue is that backstory. It is so weak and flimsy because it's done via a puppet show. So that was a big failure. Her character, maybe her best moment to me, I really like the part where they try to take her away and lock her up, and then she immediately gets out of it, and she defeats all these people at the hospital, and she's escaping the hospital. I really like that part a lot. I love the part in the first episode where she takes out the 2 henchmen. Her character is just amazing. I really loved her character. She never had a moment where... Well, okay, she did one thing. One thing that I really didn't like, but I can forgive it because the season was bad anyway. It was a big disappointment anyway. So, everyone's going to have a moment where you don't like them. And her moment was that in the hospital, her husband was there across from this guy who needed to have surgery to remove cancer from his intestines. They were going to remove all this intestine from his body, and which is, very sad, terrible. And, so he's acting really mean, and it's like he has cancer. And Dorothy acts like it's a crime for him to be mean. And so she covers his face with a pillow and suffocates him until he passes out because he's being mean. And then she goes out and she changes the name tags so that the bad guys will come in and kidnap the guy with cancer for being mean. It's kind of like in Better Call Saul, that piece of shit final season where Jimmy says that, people with cancer are assholes too, or people with cancer can be assholes too. That's kind of what it was like. So I really didn't like that at all, because then it's not only that, Then she is standing in the hallway. There's FBI agents right there. And she doesn't even tell the FBI agents that 10 feet away from us, there is someone being kidnapped right now. I didn't know what to do, so I changed the name tags and blah, blah, blah. She doesn't say anything. So she lets this innocent man get kidnapped and murdered. He is then later on murdered and tortured and beaten up because he was being mean. Because he was being mean to her. He was being a little mean. It's like, how would you be if you had to have, like, a million feet of intestine taken out of you? Like, that would be pretty terrible. So, you know, I really didn't like that at all. That was definitely her low point as a character. But that was more so to do with the bad writers, because I think in real life, Dorothy would have told the FBI agents that he was being kidnapped. Because Roy wasn't even there. It was Gator, and then a couple of people with Gator. And, like, if you're that scared of Gator, then, like, you're really, really weak as a character. So anyways, she is the best character of the season. I mean, the whole season is built around her. You know, it's kind of, like, obvious that she would have ended up being the best character. Because, like, why wouldn't she be if the whole season's built around her? Then she should be the highlight of the season. You know, she should be the character that everyone is talking about, you know. So anyways, please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought of the characters. Where would you rank people? I know that a lot of people, they probably, you know, put the Roy character lower. And I'm not saying that I like him more than the other characters, like, you know, Newton and Scotty. I'm not saying that I like him more than them. I'm just saying that he had more potential, and also he's better at acting. I mean, his acting was a lot better, even though he didn't really have much to do. So anyways, please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.